Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome back to ALR, the Aero League Racing's Monday Tier 1 Gran Turismo 7 League. This is Season 3. This is this is Season 5. This is Round 8 of the Championship, the finale, the final two races of our Championship to decide our champions of this season. My name is Webbo. I'm here to take you through tonight's proceedings. As ever, we're about 15 seconds away from the cars being released from the pits, and I can tell you that Iggy leads the championship by 22 points. He only requires a 3-point margin over BR4 after this sprint race to secure the title before this feature race. Indeed, BR4 is in second place on 220 points, 22 behind Iggy, with Sick Boy hot on his heels, just 10 points behind him. Then comes Joe Royal on 167 and Mackie's on 155. A long way back for the rest of the drivers, but a very tight fight between the two Aston Martin drivers here for the best of the bragging rights in those cars tonight. In 6th and 7th on 81 and 76 points respectively, Simon K and RDO. Then Nobbles, Mr. Berserk, David Sobrero made it into the top 10 despite only joining us in week 5, and then the rest of the drivers follow suit. Look like we've got some new liveries on the cars tonight, particularly among Iggy. For the eagle-eyed among you, Iggy is rocking a new Viper livery right here, red, white and blue for Daytona. Mercedes lead Ford by just 3 points in the championship, so that is one to absolutely keep our eyes on as the evening progresses. And evening it is indeed. We will be going day to night. We'll finish under the floodlights tonight over the course of tonight's racing. You can see the fabulous banking of the Daytona road course. Their cars are just heading through the official turns 7 and 8 before powering down then towards the quick chicane. Dodger in third place. Even though Iggy leads the championship, he's had very few teammates join him through the season. Lexus and BMW are 4th and 5th, with Aston Martin, Hyundai, VW, Peugeot and BMW, sorry, the M3 BMWs in 10th. The Z4 BMWs are in 5th. But let's join Iggy on board, shall we, as champion elect for this season, as he goes to tackle his first his first qualifying session here. There is the penalty marker as he and Sick Boy get a little bit close for comfort with each other. I think they're just trying to avoid drafting to too great an extent. So we're going to break down here towards turn 1, avoid the extreme inside edge of the track. Iggy's been warning us that there is an invisible wall that you can hit. Then we go through turn 2, which is officially a left and a right, before going into the international or east horseshoe. You can use quite a lot of the outside edge of the circuit here. Then we go into the flat out dogleg corner on the left, before a very similar profile corner, maybe slightly more open, the west horseshoe turn 5, taking a nice bit of apex curb, just using but not abusing the outside curb. Now we're going to turn 6. The in and out is actually, it's effectively 2 turns, but you need to have a nice steady radius, and these two are really getting in each other's way, not really made a lot of room on track for each other, as we then power down through turn 7 and 8 once again, reaching VMAX here. Let's see how quickly they can go. This will help Iggy, of course, get his slipstream on the back of the Mercedes. I think he might get the overspeed. It's 165, 166 as a little bump between the drivers. Hard braking down then for the bus stop chicane. Turns 9 and 10. Turn 11 really isn't anything. Well, turn 10 really isn't much to concern yourself with, but it looks like a 1 second penalty on the board there for Sick Boy. But as we go through the official turns 11 and 12, the oval turns 3 and 4, we head then towards the start-finish line. No intermediary chicane here, and a 1:46.4 is the time so far from Iggy, as the cars come into the pits to sorry, no, we're not going in the pits. We are going across the infield road section here through turns 1 and 2 with BR4. He is 1.6 seconds away, with Moosh getting up there. Mooshalot in the sister the sister Mustang. As we've got aircraft landing in the background, it's the sister Mustang here of BR4 is Moosh, and very much going for the title here tonight. Remember, only 3 points between Ford and Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. So we've not got very long left to go in this qualifying session. There may only be time for one more fast lap from the drivers if they are pitting. We ride with Moosh, who is some half a second faster than anybody else on the circuit. He's got a Aston Martin in front of him, so he is now heading through the turn 6 in and out corner. He's slower than he's been before through this lap, but he will have plenty of time to go for another lap. Not able to get much of a tow on the back of the Aston Martin. He has gained a small amount of time on his previous lap through the middle sector. Hard braking at the number 1 marker board, down to 4th, losing the car slightly over the curb. A little bit of overspeed perhaps through that section, but he is gaining through that middle sector. It is working pretty well, but soft tyres on the Mustang here. We'll have a check-in shortly and see what tyres are on the rest of the cars in the field, but I imagine that the drivers will be going for softs. They will have plenty of time to prepare and cool the car on those long straights. So we've got Joe Royal also on softs. We've got Sick Boy, who's decided to switch to mediums. Now that's an interesting tactic. So far only good enough for 8th place on the board. We ride with Joe Royal in 3rd place at the moment, as he is navigating sector 1 of the racetrack, and he's got a purple first sector, 1/10 of a second faster than anybody so far. Down into the East Horseshoe, or the International Horseshoe. And we come through turn 6 now, on the way down the long stretch. A personal best second sector here for Joe Royal. This lap is looking good. It should get him in front of Iggy, but remember, Iggy did get that good slipstream on the back of Sick Boy from his previous lap. So whether it is enough to offset that little bump and run that was going on. 4th gear for the super smooth Lexus. Everything seems very calm on board this Lexus, comparing ourselves to the Mustang, which was struggling. 1 second penalty, unfortunately for Joe Royal, ruins this lap for him. Let's see what BR4 is like through the chicane here. He's on an out lap, unfortunately. BR4 has gone for softs. Raging Mage, we've not seen him before in my coverage of the previous weeks of the championship. Raging Mage has gone for soft tyres. All the times very, very close to one another so far through proceedings. RDO's in the pits. I don't think he will run again. We are down to the final 7 seconds of qualifying. So if you haven't crossed the line now, you better get on with it. Medium tyres, as I say, for Sick Boy, who has just crossed the line in time, but he's gone way out wide onto the marbles, and really not anticipating quite the loss of grip he might suffer through using the medium tyres. Massive understeer. Simon K, I think, made it out behind him. I think he did. So that is Nismo making a welcome return in the Subaru back to the season. He had a small cameo earlier on. Strong wind, 5 meter per second wind currently on the southwest, or maybe west southwest angle. Hi to everybody watching. Hi to El Trucco, who joins us to check in. If you're watching with us, do say hello. Do let us know who you're here to support. Always interesting to know who the drivers are. And let's get some predictions in, please. Look at this purple sector here for Moosh. He's going even faster here, with Mackie's in 2nd and Iggy in 3rd. Moosh is right on it in this sector as the sun is setting. I think we may be getting sunset a little bit ahead of what we were hoping for even. Let's see the drivers cross the line then. Who is going to be next on the line? Well, we've got Raging Mage tucked up behind another car in front at the moment. That is a movement there for Raging Mage up to 5th place with Iggy in first. Iggy has cleared first position, but as BR4 beats him to the line, RDO next up in the difficult Aston Martin for top speed. It can only do 8th place. We've got Sick Boy down in 7th, and we've got a car just going through the chicane at the moment. I think that was our erstwhile fastest runner. There is Sick Boy then in 10th place, some 3.8 seconds off the lead of the standings so far. We're just checking out who that driver is about to cross the line. It is Nismo, as the headlights are ablaze on the car. Goes across the line, no change in position for Nismo. So BR4 looks to have secured this one. Let's see as we finish up qualifying. Just a few moments left to run now. BR4 by 0.3 of a second from Moosh here in the Mustang. We are anticipating Mustang with its highest top speed of all the cars to be very, very strong, especially in Sector 3 of the racetrack. It's not so hot on the brakes as we've seen multiple times through the season. A very slow lap there from Moosh so far, as BR4 has parked it. We've got several cars having finished their laps. Seems to be some kind of contact in the midfield. Simon hasn't managed to improve here in P8, but so far so good then for BR4, and he appears to be our pole sitter. BR4 in the Swedish liveried Mustang that we've come to know. Any further movements from anybody further back in the order? This is Olive about to cross the line with Nismo on the soft tyres, running the Subaru here, and it goes up to 10th, stays where he is. I imagine Olive will be exactly the same situation as he had a penalty on the car as well. But there is the Mustang ready to race once he's got out of the grass and ready to lead us away for our sprint race. Remember, Iggy can secure the title by beating BR4 by 3 points in this sprint race. Fairly unlikely to be challenged too strongly. So we're ready to go racing around Daytona. I've got to do this. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing! As we wait for the lights to go. The lights are on. The revs are building. Get ready to go. And it's dropped the clutch, and go, go, go with a big wiggle from BR4 up ahead as Iggy gets a perfect start away from everybody behind him. We've got the camera glitch right now, so we'll try and focus on what's going on from the perspective of currently 4th place runner. It's Mackie's. There's contact in the back. Mackie's is sent flying. He just about manages to get squeezed between the two Mustangs, getting right in amongst the title fight here between the Mustangs. There goes Moosh. Under contact, getting slung wide out of the turn 2 and 3. This is now Joe Royal in 3rd place, just behind Mackie's. I have to just exit and rejoin, unfortunately, to get the camera angle that I want. Here we go, as they go hammering down towards the first horse show. More contact between Mackie's, Sick Boy, and this time it's Sick Boy getting into the back of Mackie's. It's Joe Royal being pushed out wide. Joe will not be enjoying that one at all as he trundles down in the order, down to I think 4 from the back somehow, some way. Here we go then. It's Iggy from BR4 and Mackie's up at the front. The two Aston Martin drivers fighting for best of the team or standings. That's all they can really fight for at this stage. Simon in front of RDO at this point, and that's how they stand in the championship at the moment, as well as they duck down into the braking area. RDO much later on the brakes into the bus stop as they go to complete lap 1 of the race. It's Iggy from BR4 from Mackie's, and then a super tight fight here. We've got Sick Boy in 4th place, Simon K and RDO. Where is BR4? Is that him right at the very back of the field after being shoved mercilessly wide into turn 1? I fear it might be, as they get ready to brake heavily. Now, BR4 is back in the front of this group. He's tucked out wide again, missing the braking zone. Sorry, it's Moosh that I'm missing, isn't it? BR4 is right up there and still fighting, but it looked like he outbraked himself into turn 1. He'll be super annoyed at me because I'm always joining him just as he outbrakes himself, he says. But the front two getting away beautifully. Let's just find out. Moosh took way back from the order at the moment. He's 38 seconds off the lead of this race. Unfortunately, that is a really tough spot to be in, but we'll have to focus for now on the cars as at the front of the order, as BR4 kicks up a whole load of apex grass, scatters across the circuit, and Mackie's has got mirrors full of that beautiful orange Mercedes AMG. Looks like we've also had Simon K running wide in the background, but hanging on just about to his 5th place ahead of his teammate. They'll be watching their mirrors profusely down this back straightaway, because they suffer so much from the top speed, a lack of top speed versus everybody else on the circuit. So we're finishing up lap 2 with Iggy still on top. Sick Boy's got the fastest middle sector from BR4 and Mackie's, then Sick Boy in 4th, and Simon versus RDO remains that way, 5th and 6th. Joe Royal and Raging Mage 7th and 8th, but here comes Joe Royal, tucked right up behind RDO, who generally doesn't fight these top speed battles. RDO just doesn't want to lose too much time. A penalty picked up for the Subaru behind him of Nismo, of Raging Mage, but we won't pay too much attention to that as Joe Royal gets the overlap done. And what a dive bomb there, an absolute dive from the Subaru behind under the brakes. What a stop. He got it done beautifully into turn 1, did the Subaru. Wow, great move. For 7th place then, that is Raging Mage. The sister Subaru of Nismo is behind this battle, with Olive shortly behind him, and then Moosh again some 28 seconds further back, thanks to that turn 1 lap 1 incident. Up at the front though, Iggy looking to try and secure this title as quickly as possible. A win to BR4's 2nd place would not guarantee him the title, I don't believe. I think that would equate to a would that be a 2-point gap or a 3-point gap? Well, we shall see. The fastest standings creator is RDO, so I'm sure he'll be right on the money with me with that one. Dodge Viper just squirreling around through the bus stop chicane. Very difficult corner to get perfect. He is now 1.1 seconds in front of BR4, who is managing his tyres and trying to hold on for as long as possible here. He's gaining actually on Iggy, catching now under a second. The benefit of that top speed on board the Mustang is immense. 175 we saw temporarily there at the very apex of his I would say the start-finish straight, which isn't really a straight, it's the try in the tri-oval section. Iggy from BR4, Mackie's and Sick Boy, the top 4, very much class of the field here. They've gapped the rest of the drivers. There's a furious battle going on further back from them. We'll join them shortly as a fastest lap then goes on the lap 3 to BR4, who is building his speed fabulously so far. 45.3 was faster than Iggy, but his lap has been beaten by Mackie's here at 45.2 on the previous lap. Can Sick Boy hang on to the top 3 at the moment on the medium tyres and be stronger towards the end of this sprint race? It is anybody's guess at this stage. Joe Royle in 5th has one of the Aston Martins, Simon behind him. Raging Mage has gapped RDO, who has also been passed now by Nismo. So Raging Mage and Nismo have not helping RDO's quest to stay in front of his teammate, or to get in front of his teammate in the overall standings here. RDO's now got Olive right behind him. Olive with the top speed on the Z4 in the KFC liveried Z4. We saw this earlier with Joe Royle. He's a lot earlier on the brakes. RDO making him work hard for it, and again scattering that grass across the circuit. Managed to get away with track limits on that occasion. Moosh still 40 seconds now away from the lead of this race, but BR4 has caught right up, and let's watch with bated breath. BR4 tackling Iggy here as they go through the international horseshoe of turn 3. I think that BR4 will wait until his strongest point on the track, which is the main straightaway before the bus stop, and after turn 6 they go round the west horseshoe now. And this is the in and out. He needs a good exit out of here, does BR4. And here we see the difference in the speed, 0.5 of a second between the two of them as they exit turn 6. Now the speed is really building. 160, 165 for BR4. There's not enough straight to get it done on the brakes into the bus stop. Turns 9 and 10, but he'll have another long run all the way through 11 and 12. Still half a second at the moment at the front of this race. Iggy starting to slow. You have to feel Iggy is definitely having a more difficult trip here. BR4 held on to that lap 4 lap record at 1:45.0. He is shaving time off every lap so far as he's forced to the outside line. Goes for the outside line, but Iggy holds the inside. Will there be a switchback coming from BR4? Iggy forced out wide. BR4 was strong here in the previous lap. Goes out wide onto the marbles once again. I don't know that he'll get the drive out of this first horseshoe sufficiently, but he's going to do his damnedest to get the lead of this race. He's being held up, no doubt about it at this point, but Iggy of course has every right to hold him up. It's him with the track position as the front brake disc glow on these Group 3 cars, and now Mackie's right in the mix with this one. I don't know that he's got the top speed to challenge the Mustang, but he can certainly make him nervous in his mirrors. The Mustang with a great inside run out of turn 6 and 7. He's catching. It's under 1/10 of a second. He'll go for the inside line now. Will BR4, surely he's got track position and he's got the nose in front. He's late on the brakes. He tucks into the first chicane and takes the lead of this race. Patient work, a lap and a half of patience from BR4 as Iggy is going for that slipstream once again. I would expect Mackie's is going to get right into this one as well, as much as he possibly can. BR4 will not give up the inside. He's hanging it right down at the apron with the double yellow lines. He will not give him the inside. Iggy is desperate for it. There's the hint of a bump and run behind, of a bump draft happening. And that's how they've split just ahead of Mackie's as BR4 runs super wide into turn 1 and hangs on once again. Now he can start to get a bit more comfortable, and in fact I think Iggy will start thinking about his mirrors. Look at how the top 3 have stretched away from Sick Boy, who, remember, is still on those medium tyres and who's tyres should be in a better state of repair to come the end of this this race. So we've got BR4 ahead of Iggy, ahead of Mackie's, and then Sick Boy a little bit on his own now, and a long gap from an off-track running Joe Royal. Was that temporarily there? No, my bad. That was the car of Nismo who was off track, but he's still ahead of RDO, I believe. Where's RDO gone? RDO has dropped behind Moosh. He's gone that far down. I'm not quite sure what befell RDO as the lead 3 cars. This is your potential podium here, heading on into the bus stop. Once again, the gap open to 0.3 of a second. They were nose to nose going into that corner on the previous lap, and now again, once again, Iggy desperate for that inside line. BR4 determined not to give it up. If Mackie's can get a run off both of these cars, he'll absolutely go for it around the outside. It's BR4 still leading as they cross the start-finish line. Now they are, if they finish the race that close to each other, we will have a photo finish as Iggy goes for the outside line. BR4 tucks himself inside, but Mackie's comes up the inside too. Mackie's right up there as they try to negotiate room on the circuit. Iggy on the outside will struggle to brake with his tyres on the grass temporarily there, but he just got the car stopped, and Mackie's hanging on for dear life to the car. I don't know whether Iggy perhaps had the reason to hold on as Mackie's goes for it down the inside. Of course, he can brake later down that lane, but if Iggy's wise to it, he can cut back. Mackie's now into second place. Some great racing between these guys, as now we've got Iggy who's having to try and get back up onto second place, no less. Mackie's is quite happy to take the same route that Iggy took, try and get underneath the Mustang in a straight line. Here comes Mackie's then. He will have relatively even top speed with the benefit of the tow, but as soon as he gets out from the rear of the car, he's lost the top speed relative to the Mustang. Each car has its own strengths and weaknesses, but of course the drivers always favour the ones with the highest top speed. It makes passing that much more simple. Now Mackie's on the defensive from Iggy. What is going to happen here? I think we will cross this line. We will certainly cross this line to start another lap. And BR4 holds the inside line. Mackie's and Iggy with a bump draft. Mackie's hangs on into the marbles. Can he rescue the car? Just about, as the top 3 continue this epic battle. So far, so clean. Honestly, for GT racing, this is some great running. Iggy tries to sweep across the nose of the Z4, and he just about hangs on. The Viper performing fairly well, but now the tyres are really starting to hurt on the drivers, on the soft tyres here. Iggy feeling the need to defend to the inside. Mackie's will try and take the smoother line through the horseshoe. This is now coming up to the in and out 10-6 on the outside. A little touch of wheel-on-wheel action there, and a lock-up and a side swipe there. I think accidental from Mackie's, but certainly both cars loose into the in-and-out corner. We are coming up to the final section of this racetrack, as it looks to be BR4 with that little battle between Mackie's and Iggy on the circuit. It looks like it's going to be BR4's all the way, and he will get that required gap to Iggy to keep the championship alive as Iggy goes sideways. Style points are plenty for your champion-elect, and crossing the line shortly, it's going to be, I'm sure of it, it's going to be BR4 in the Mustang who will take a fabulous victory here. Here he comes then, lights ablaze as the sun has fully set. We're into nighttime racing, and Mackie's around Daytona road course, at the sprint race at least, takes the win. We've got Mackie's in second, and Iggy your champion-elect, takes one step closer to the championship in third. He needs to just score a few points in the next round. Joe is dipping low under the apron to take fourth place. A great victory as Sick Boy customarily is going backwards. Raging Mage across the infield. He takes sixth place with Simon, Moosh, Nismo, Ario, Olive. Your finishing order, your 11 cars, but it was all about BR4, Mackie's, and Iggy in that one. Tremendous race. As we prepare for the feature race, there will be a short delay. Please don't go anywhere, but there will be a short delay before we go for our one-shot qualifying in time for our feature race shortly. Well, welcome back, race fans, to the commentary, at least, of tonight's race. We're about to go out for one-shot qualifying for the feature race. We've got most of the drivers starting on hard tyres, with Olive, Mackie's trying the mediums, it seems, at the moment. They're about to go out in about half a minute's time, so I can give you some updated standings for the championship. Iggy stretched his lead. Well, he didn't stretch his lead, excuse me. His lead is now 15 points, down to 15, which means, by my calculations at least, that if BR4 wins, Iggy would need to score an 8th place or better to secure the title, something that I don't think he has failed to do ever. In the previous 15 races of the championship, he has his worst result is a 6th place. BR4 is some 21 points now in front of Sick Boy, with a slightly poorer showing there for Sick Boy than we are fairly used to seeing him do. Mackie's Joe Royle is in 4th, seemingly fairly secure, just 8 points though ahead of Mackie's, with Simon Kay stretching his gap to his teammate RDO. Let's see who we join then for this one. I would normally go ahead and choose someone on the softer compound tyre. But let me see. I think I will go with perhaps Mackie's here, who I think might have the better opportunity. Now let's see what Mackie's can do as he gets the car ready and set up for racing. He'll be looking for a decent gap, not too long, not too short. The gap to the car in front. He could do with a tow to help this Z4 up the order. So getting the car stopped neatly, just getting these medium tyres. You can probably abuse these medium tyres quite hard. Iggy is first out on track. We've got Raging Mage just here ahead of Mackie's, but Mackie's using the option tyre, the medium, to try and get himself further up the grid and stretch away from the rest of the field. But most of the drivers have gone for a conventional hard tyre, full tank of fuel run. See how deep into the race they can get with that fuel before then being able to either put the softs or the mediums on for the short sprint at the end of the race. We will go day to night once again, I believe, and I can talk to you a little bit about the manufacturer's title, which remains very close. 11 points separate Ford on the top of Mercedes, with 18 points further back Dodge. So it is all to play for in this one. Plenty of points on the table. Here comes Mackie's then braking heavily down into turn 1, which is misleadingly wide on entry. That is not going to help his plan here, with the Subaru going all over the track and trying to recover the car. Mackie's really doesn't want to have to make an overtake here through the horseshoe, but a little tap and run from Mackie's as he gets out of the first of the horseshoe cars, through the dogleg of turn 4 before braking into the horseshoe. Again, it's getting dark very quickly, even through this one-shot qualifying. So we will have a very, very fast sunset, and then floodlights, and I think maybe fireworks at the end as well. Into then turn 6 and the in and out corner, and onto the oval raceway. It's a tri-oval technically, isn't it? 7 and 8 are just one continuous left-hand turn, barely turning the wheel with the banking, of course, here at Daytona. And then looking for that braking marker board, number 3, number 2, and we stamp on the brakes around the number 1 into 4th gear into the corner, looking for the smoothest route through. Should that be route through the chicane? As you've got another airliner taking off in the background now. Flat out to the line will go Mackie's. I'm expecting to see him up there at the front of the field, as he is on the favoured tyre. It's all just it's just foot to the floor all the way here for Mackie's. Iggy gets the immediate pole, of course. Here comes Mackie's, and he didn't beat Iggy to the line, so Raging Mage there as well. We've got the Mustang BR4 on the hard tyres. Can he get up? He can beat Raging Mage, but not Mackie's. Simon K will come next, stay 5th. Moosh in the sister Mustang may have been able to get a better tow coming through the corners as he crosses the checkered line, and it's a 5th place for Moosh. We've got Simon K struggling for some reason. Simon K unable to set a time, it seems. Here's the sister Z4 of Olive with RDO behind him. Looks like it's going to be Iggy beating out Sick Boy and crucially Mackie's on those medium tyres. So I think that contretemps with the Subaru really affecting really affecting Mackie's medium run here. Olive is also on the mediums. He's got the better of the opportunities because he's got nobody in front of him. Will Olive be able to do what Mackie's couldn't on the medium tyres thanks to the traffic? There's an American Airlines aircraft taking off behind, and Olive goes P5. Olive into P5. RDO made it into P7 with a nice smooth run to the line, but it's Iggy with one hand on the Champions Trophy up there into 1st position, and the pole on this time of 47.372 for Iggy. We'll have a rolling start around Daytona, by which point I will hopefully be able to get the camera sorted out. Don't really get much of an opportunity. Is that a car having not set his time? Maybe. Geordie the First says, what's a good strat for the feature? In my opinion, well, I'm open to disagreement or argument. I would say run the hards and run the tank as dry as you can, depending on your car's fuel economy. That's going to dictate whether you can use the softs or the mediums at the end. Obviously they will want to use the softs if they can. Joe Royal is actually going for his time way out of sync. I think he had trouble getting into the lobby. But Geordie, what about your opinion? What would you go for? We'll hear from RDO. Looks like everybody's starting on the hards apart from Olive and Mackie's, who couldn't make those mediums work. But that's my fairly unqualified opinion. We've got cars going in the opposite direction around the track, which will have to be frowned upon with someone still going on their fast lap. That could result in post-race penalties here if they interfere. It's certainly going to be a concern for Joe Royal as he sees cars screaming toward. Now that is pretty awful for Joe. That really is some very unsporting behaviour for Joe Royal to have to suffer on his only one-shot fast lap. Geordie says he doesn't know. That's why he asks. He's in the Lexus, so he might go for hard soft. Yeah, yeah. It's a good idea. I mean, I would say the Lexus will almost certainly, with the fuel economy, get to run the softs at the end. But running around a tri-oval is very different to a regular racetrack. Joe Royal could only get 10th, and hardly a surprise, as we've got some donuts being done there as well in the entry to turn 1. Yeah, so I have to apologise for the behaviour on track for those drivers. I'm sure they thought they were having a bit of fun and hadn't realised that another car was actually on their fast lap. But we are almost ready to get going. So we've got Mackie's calling out the Subaru in front of him, Raging Mage, for blocking him on the one-shot quali. Although you might make an argument that if you're going for pole, you need to clear a gap in front of you, and trying to get that toe is you take your chances in your own hands. Have we got a car actually running on a lap? I'm not sure what Joe's doing. Does he feel like he's owed an extra lap maybe? The wind has done a 180 just about, or maybe a 170 degree turn in a clockwise direction. It is now facing north-northeast on a 4.2 meter. So the cars are going to handle very differently for the drivers here through the straights and into the braking zones. They're going to really have to adjust, or pay attention at least, to what that's going to mean for the car. I don't think Joe's going to go any quicker from P10 on the grid with that interruption. Well, there he goes up to P8 despite a 1 second penalty. So perhaps that's telling you what he lost going into the bus stop chicane. But a P8 for Joe. Raging Mage down in 9th, but Iggy on top as we wait to get underway for our feature race for you. You may have a driver just being requested to duck in and out of the lobby, maybe causing an issue at the moment. We'll wait and see if they comply. Apologies for the delay. Race control are issuing their instructions. Driver coming out of the pits there. It's RDO himself, waiting to get underway. A reminder that Iggy is on pole from Sick Boy. Mackie's the lead medium runner. It will be going into this feature race. And we have BR4 chasing the championship, but he's 2 places away from Iggy. Well, 3 in total, but 2 cars between himself and Iggy will be problematic for BR4. Looks like the driver having just exited has meant that BR4 has been promoted to 3rd. So I'm quite sure how that works out. Looks like we're about to get underway though for you very soon. Hopefully any minute for you, we will be on our rolling start. So it looks like the entries are being redone, unfortunately. I don't think we will re-qualify. RDO says drive the first sector to everybody. So which is a very difficult pit lane exit. So maximizing your in and out laps are going to be pretty important here. Obviously the cars will be will take a while to fuel up, as usual, if they're one stopping especially, but the impact of getting through the first part is going to be difficult. Everyone has to drive to sector 1 to receive their lap back, it would seem. There's Iggy, Sick Boy, Mackie's, Olive, BR4 just coming, Moose just coming out of the pits, but there seems to be the workaround to solve the glitch. See, the sun is setting by the moment. I think the time elapse is on 8 times, so it's happening very quickly. Looks like it's going to be an all-night race here. Excellent stuff. So Iggy from the front of this race. Remember, it is a rolling start to get underway, and RDO just drops in with a finally comment in the live chat. So rolling start it is. Iggy in front, Sick Boy, and we go racing for a 40-minute dash around Daytona. And I'm stuck with these awful camera angles. Once again, it's Let's Go Racing at Daytona for the feature race as Mackie's is weaving around. Sick Boy and Iggy are getting into it already. Sick Boy getting the elbows out, and Iggy just doesn't want any of this kind of drama. He'd like to win his championship from the front, but there's no need to be binned out to the corner. The Mustang goes for the inside. Mackie's goes defensive. That leaves BR4 vulnerable to a bump and run there from the Z4 of Olive behind. and it's Mackie's on the medium tyres making the best out of this one, this first interchange. I'm sorry about the camera, I have to stick with this until the racing calms as Sick Boy goes for the inside, takes the lead of the race. Mackie's is with him. Iggy stuck down in third place already, and BR4 looks like he's left the door open on the inside there to Olive in the sister Z4. Mackie's going for it against Sick Boy. Let's take a ride on board with Iggy and see them through here. I will have to exit and come back in again to get a camera angle that I like. Unfortunately, I just have to live with this one for lap 1 as Iggy is looking to get a slipstream, and a great slipstream so far, trying to get down into the braking zone. He brakes earlier than the Mercedes. I don't think BR4 is going to brake earlier than anybody ever, and just about gets the acceleration out of the bus stop and the impetus against Olive. So it's going to be Mackie's from lap 1 against Sick Boy Iggy. BR4 right behind his championship rival. Moosh trying to get into it with Olive. And Olive, what a slipstream he's got on the back of the Mustang. He's got a Mustang right behind him. What is happening to Sick Boy? That looks like a problem, a penalty for Sick Boy being served as he ducks down the order, and he's trying to weave his way between the cars, just about hanging on. Let's try and get that better camera angle, shall we? Here we go. We will go racing properly now. It's Iggy having taken second place. Oh no, BR4 has spun. BR4 spun in the international horseshoe, the East Horseshoe on the circuit. BR4, unfortunately, that is a big deal for our championship contention here. That is Iggy in second place, needing only to score an 8th place, even if BR4 wins the race, and that's looking less and less likely. BR4 has got to wonder what he's got to do in a feature race to not end up in the back of the order. Moosh makes it up to 4th place against the Mercedes of Sick Boy, who has picked up another penalty for track limit abuse. I think that was running wide out of turn 6. Very unusual there, very pointless to give a penalty on the outside exit of turn 6 because you're never going to pick up speed. But Moosh is absolutely picking up those MPH behind the Z4. Actually needs to brake earlier so he doesn't run too close to the Z4. Try and get the better drive out of the corner. It's Mackie's in front of Iggy, in front of Olive, having a great showing so far here on the medium tyres. Looks like a medium first stint for both Z4s. Sick Boy needs to make sure he's not shooting backwards on anybody following behind. That could be a problem here for Joe. Temporarily he ghosts, of course, as Joe gets up to P5 and a PB there for Moosh, following behind the Z4 of Olive. And Iggy losing ground, actually. Iggy losing a little bit of ground there as Olive catches him with the top speed, with the medium tyre traction out of turn, what are we talking about? Turn 6, really, turn 10 after the chicane. Moosh going wide, though, out onto the marbles. And it's Mackie's, Iggy, Olive, Moosh, Joe, Sick Boy, RDO, and Simon, your top 8 after 3 laps. Fastest sector there for Olive, as the medium tyres are absolutely working beautifully. He's almost certainly committed to a medium hard run here. They may think about a medium soft, but a medium hard run would be the way to one-stop this one. And look at the grip difference as he goes for the brakes, grabs the brakes, gets the apex much more cleanly than Iggy. Back out onto the tri-oval once again. Sun completely set. We are night racing now here in Daytona, but the Viper does have just the edge on the top speed until the slipstream starts to take effect, but it's some distance down the straightaway that the following car can actually start getting sucked up behind the lead car. A penalty on the car of Olive. That is very tight on the track limits. They are somewhat random, the track limits. It's definitely not the white lines that dictate the racetrack, as Moosh will get past Olive here with a 1 second halt on his full throttle application. And there it is. It's almost like the brakes being slammed on. The engine braking is so strong. Here comes Moosh then on the hard tyres against Iggy, your champion-elect. Iggy trying to gently get through this race, or at least this stint, without suffering race-ending damage. And Moosh, or race-ending damage to his race prospects. You don't tend to get race-ending damage here in Gran Turismo. Just cosmetic. But Moosh has absolutely got the better speed here, as Mackie's is getting well away from Iggy by 3 seconds now after lap 4 in the order. Don't really want to look away from this battle for the podium. Moosh trying to do the job for his teammate here. I can't even see BR4 at this stage. He's outside of the top 8. Sadly, he needed a win here really to take the championship, but Ford very much still in the hunt for the title, for the team title, against Mercedes and Dodge. Currently they're in reverse order. Dodge in front of Ford, in front of Mercedes, so it could be that Dodge overtake at least Mercedes tonight to secure second place in our championship. 3.5 seconds the gap on those medium tyres from Mackie's to Iggy. A 0.6 of a second gap then back to Moosh, with Olive, whose pace has just calmed slightly. I don't know if he's just turned the engine down a little bit to calm the car and get the most out of these medium tyres as he can. I would have thought a full tank of fuel and a set of medium tyres will be a roughly even amount of wear over the course of the race, but the hard tyres will still run way beyond your first tank of fuel. Here we go, getting sucked up into the slipstream goes Moosh, trying the outside move on Iggy, as he forces nearly all of his rivals to do nearly every corner. If they try and attack, Moosh can't get by down the outside. We'll look for a switchback move, possibly a dummy here, as Iggy brakes are slightly off the racing line. Moosh almost runs out of brakes. It's a difficult thing to try and pass this this Viper in anger, as Moosh gets a PB first sector as well. Down into the West Horseshoe. Just can't find a predictable way to get the switchback done on this Viper, just trying to pressurize him into a mistake. Iggy is not impervious to the odd mistake here and there. We've seen a couple this season, but not many. Moosh, though, is not used to battling at the sharp end with Iggy. His speed has been improving no end through the season long. Good gap still from Mackie's, a 4.2 second gap, and we've got Iggy then with a barely anything kind of a gap, just over 0.2 of a second to the Mustang. The Stinger's gone a little bit out of Olive's attack, so I think he's turned the fuel consumption down slightly. And Joe is ahead of another championship contender, at least top 3 contender, Sick Boy, in 6th place. BR4 is down in 8th place now and is just navigating the Subaru and the Aston Martin of Raging Mage and RDO respectively. BR4 back up to 7th place, 17 seconds off the lead, and this is exactly what happened back in Deep Forest and earlier in the season as well. BR4 having a problematic first lap, costing him no end. Simon K is a place down behind RDO, so I'm not sure RDO will gain enough points to really go for it. It's round the outside goes Moosh from Iggy, finally makes it round the using the outside line, forced Iggy to the inside, and there goes Moosh then into 2nd place. And we'll see what kind of speed he can unlock now relative to the car in front, most importantly relative to the champion-elect Iggy, who is just looking for a quiet night racing, doesn't want any major drama, as has befallen his main championship rival so far, BR4, tonight. Got to be careful on those track limits through the exit of turn 6. They are a bit of a black art finding a way through there. Iggy then tries to get the benefit the slipstream. He's also got Olive chasing behind him. Olive could decide to do could get better traction, certainly will be better on the brakes on the medium tyres, even now into lap 6. So Iggy is fighting to some extent with a disadvantage, and there's a penalty on the Mustang. Penalty on the Mustang on the way out of turn 10. Not the first time we've seen a car make that mistake. And very shortly he will slow down considerably here, fully off throttle over the yellow line. There he goes, dips down at the front, picks it back up again, but two cars will go screaming past the Mustang. Lost all of his momentum with a small mistake out of the bus stop, and it's back down to fourth for Moosh. Up into second goes Iggy, and Olive follows him through. You can see the gap for Moosh there as we get a spectator's eye view, or maybe a spotter's eye view. Joe still off the podium, but hanging around in the 5th place point on the circuit. It's kind of Joe's happy place. It's where they've spent a lot of their season so far, has been in the 5th place point, but very, very consistent point scorer. Sick Boy out of position in 6th, and BR4, as we saw earlier. Let's have a look at how close they are on circuit. Sick Boy in 6th there, BR4 some distance away, some 6.6 seconds, but is still about 18 seconds off the lead. Getting in the personal best sectors, as you would expect, down out of the out of contention, but with a clear racing track in front of him. Simon is improving as well. Mackie still holds on to the lead by 5.2 seconds now, but the fuel burning off and the tyres similarly degrading. But as I say, I think he'll run that whole tank of fuel on the medium tyres through to the first pit stop. Lap 7 almost complete then, as Mackie's, well no, lap 7 just started, I think. That's it, yeah. No, lap 7 has completed. The lap counter seems to work on the car I'm watching rather than on the leader, which is a little confusing. Here comes Moosh then against Olive, who is holding the inside line, making Moosh go the long way round. We've seen Moosh make that work. He tries the switch back, but mistimed or stuck on the marbles, can't get past Olive, who has got so much better traction coming out with the medium tyres still. Moosh is either going to have to bide his time or apply the pressure, because it's certainly going to be a difficult job getting past the medium tired Z4 for the next lap or two. You can see the yellow lines on the apron have been painted over with grippy paint. Otherwise, with a little bit of precipitation, those yellow lines would become treacherous coming out of turn 6 on the in and out. And they approach the bus stop once again. Iggy some 5.7 seconds off the lead. Olive catching under the slipstream with the medium tyre. Traction out of turn 6 is all important. You won't get quite the same traction difference coming out of turn 10 because the speeds are higher. In fact, Moosh is right behind Olive as they run on this steep incline banking. Olive not wishing to give the inside line away to Moosh, who tries a bump draft. It wouldn't hurt to make this a three-way fight, I feel, for Moosh. Force Olive into making an attempt on Iggy. Iggy's pace has dropped a little bit. I imagine he's pacing himself to the end, or trying to eke out those precious few extra laps to enable the soft tyres later on. After their first pit stop, be looking for a roughly 2/3 distance before stopping if you want to get to the soft tyre. So what would that be? We are 15 minutes into a 40-minute session. So that's going to be somewhere around lap 16 to 18, I would have thought. Just guesswork though. Here are your top three then. The tightest fight on the racetrack, I believe. You'll see them through this slipstream section and then have another tour of the field. Here comes Moosh though, right behind these two. Olive absolutely tempted to go for it here with a great run into the bus stop. Not so great coming out of it though, and the Mustang had a better run. Mustang going high, Olive staying low. Another puff of, well, it's weird. They seem to touch bumpers and you get a puff of smoke. There we go, once again. I'm quite sure how that works. I don't think it's tyres, is it? Round the outside then goes Olive. They go 3 wide across the start-finish line. This one is where it's all at. Olive with a great run coming through at the end of lap 9, start of lap 10. Olive takes Iggy. Moosh takes Iggy and still is stuck behind Olive. Wow, brilliant sector there from all of them. And I say that seems to be Moosh's speed forcing Olive into an attempt on Iggy and getting the job done. Iggy now down in 4th position, but with his title rivals both behind him on circuit, that is where his main concern is tonight. I'm sure he'd love to win this race, and he may still win it, but at the moment he's stuck in 4th position with Mackie's and Moosh, the medium runners, now 1st and 2nd in the Z4s. It's really favouring this strategy, this stint of the race. Moosh trying to get the inside line. We should now have the inside line. He's got the top speed advantage, so he doesn't need the slipstream. He's got the inside line as they head down through turns 7 and 8. Moosh is well ahead. He could do with not being fully ahead, in fact, just staying alongside us. Now Olive gets the inside line as they head down towards the bus stop. The Mustang is ahead. We know he's quick through here as well. I think that those medium tyres on Olive are starting to give up their best. He is really not very strong coming out of the bus stop relative to the other two drivers. I don't know if that's all tyres or the mid-range RPM, the mid-range torque in the Z4 perhaps. Difficult for me to judge from the outside as they touch and smoke billows out. Maybe there's like a flare on the back of the Z4's diffuser. Iggy round the outside goes to get ahead, but Olive won't give it up easy. He won't brake as early as Iggy or earlier. He's forcing the issue. Iggy with the outside-inside move and sweeps across the front. That's driver code for you. For don't fight so hard, my friend. I'm coming through. Iggy up to P3 again, back on the podium with Joe Royal in 5th. We've got Sick Boy down in 6th, unable to really make much of a dent here on the hard tyres. This is not normally Sick Boy's main strategy. He tends to run softer tyres. BR4 stuck 18 seconds still off the leader, but running on the hard tyres. Hasn't been able to really catch anybody at this stage. He's got himself into 7th. He's faster than the cars behind him, clearly, but he's not able to make much of inroads. It's the Subaru BRZ in 8th of Raging Mage, and then we have the two Vantages. RDO ahead, 2.2 seconds ahead of Simon. That's me, the commentator, in what is supposed to be P11. That's Webbo. If you do like my commentary, you can follow my output on Twitter at WebboRed5, just about everywhere. That's where you'll find me. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel today and like the video whenever you're listening or watching. It really helps. It's a small way to say thank you for the coverage and the racing entertainment. Moosh has definitely gapped Iggy and Olive. Here's Iggy then with about just over a quarter of a tank left of fuel in this stint. But Olive has been raging through this. I think he's committed to a medium hard run into here. He's well under a quarter of a tank, so just going for a rich run to try and equalize the tire and the fuel burn off. Let's have a look at Mackie's strategy. He's got more fuel on the car than than his teammate on the same strategy. So he might well be able to get an extra lap out of this one. 3.3 seconds. Now the speed is starting to drop. A 48.2 from Mackie's that time out. A 46.7 from Moosh in the Mustang. So these cars just biding their time, trying to run the fuel. We'll compare the Mustang of Moosh to BR4 on fuel. You can see Iggy with much better fuel usage. He's obviously running the car pretty lean, and that could explain his difference in speed here. He's stayed up with the main runners, but he wants to get as many laps out of this as possible. You can see Joe, customarily in the Lexus with great fuel economy. Then we go with Sick Boy with fabulous fuel economy, quite frankly, probably trying to get these soft tyres into use at the end of the race. BR4 with maybe a lap when it comes to it more than Moosh on the car as well. Again, hard mediums almost certainly the case for the Mustangs, but I think there may be a chance of the Lexus running the soft tyres at the end. Iggy will probably confound everything I say. He tends to run the tyres longer and just live with the drift. A hint of some understeer through turn 1 for Iggy. You can see Olive is definitely being gapped now. Speed coming off. He's about equidistant between himself, Iggy in front, and Joe behind. Fuel light starting to flash for Olive. Could be lap 13 is the magic number for Olive. And we're only just past the half distance. And remember, medium tyres. I don't think the softs will be happy to the end of the race. Up in front though, Mackie's likewise starting to catch, being caught, sorry, by Moosh. Mackie's has taken the KFC livery off the doors, off the sides of the vehicle. I'm not quite sure why that is. He didn't give the memo to his teammate. And it's getting very, very close here. I think that, well, the fuel light is flashing on both these cars. It looks like Moosh is heading into the pits pretty soon. We shall see as he gets the slipstream here. That could well be enough for an extra lap of fuel on the car. But the fuel light, as I say, definitely ablaze. Into the pits then, I think, comes Mackie's here. He's ducked down off the apron. And comes into the pits. Moosh is going by for another lap. So Mackie's drops down. Olive likewise into the pits behind his teammate. So both medium runners into the pits with 3 and 8% fuel left on the car respectively. Game getting a little bit confused about who's in what order. Unless Mackie's is, I suppose Mackie's pit box might be closer. Look at the fuel economy on the Mercedes here of Sick Boys. 13 seconds off the lead, held by Moosh at the moment, who will go into the pits shortly, but still with a quarter of a tank left in the car. I think BR4's on his final lap before the pits, as I believe is Simon, as he starts his final lap into the pits. I think RDO has been hanging on to some better some leaner fuel running as well. Here comes Mackie's then coming out of the pits behind both of the Aston Martins, in front of his teammate, also exiting the pits. That's Mackie's back out in 8th place, 38 seconds off the lead. That's the cost of his pit stop. 38 seconds to fuel up to the finish of this race. Of course, that will drop by exponentially every lap you do. Means you have to stop for fewer seconds of fuel input into the car. It might seem obvious, but it's easy to forget. The pit stop time difference is fairly distributed. There's no minimum pit stop time here. So Moosh running down on the fumes of the fuel will duck into the pit lane shortly. Here he comes and heads into the pits with 0% fuel left on the car. Iggy also into the pits, but Joe, Sick Boy, and I think BR4 will carry on for a while yet. I imagine we're about to see Simon come in. Yeah, I would have thought so. Simon in shortly, just after he rounds this corner now. Mackie's behind him. Olive made it out in front of the second Aston Martin. Here comes Simon then. There is Mackie's on the... Oh, he's gone for soft tyres. He's gone for soft tyres with a fair few laps left to run. Easily the length of the sprint race left to go, but maybe that's a deliberate calculation on his part. He's put 3/4 of a tank of fuel in to finish this race. That is a lot of fuel in Mackie's. He's going rich to the end. So, and he stayed in front of his teammate. Out of the pits then comes, who's that? That's Moosh. Level with, well, that's Iggy and Olive. Just behind Olive comes Iggy, then comes Moosh out of the pits. So battle recommences. Mackie's has stretched his lead slightly with a good in and out lap. Soft tyres, I would imagine, for all of these cars, as Iggy gets the inside line and there's contact between the two drivers. Olive won't take kindly to that, and neither may the stewards, but we will see. Olive restricts his losses down to one place as Moosh gets on by. And these three drivers will be, that's a familiar sight for these drivers, just taking advantage of another driver getting overtaken and getting on through with them as well. So Iggy in 4th, Moosh in 5th, Olive in 6th, Mackie's in front by 3.4 seconds now. Remember, that went down to about half a second before the pit stops. Iggy gaining through that run. Soft tyres on the board, of course, for these cars. Moosh as well. Olive also on the softs, but has put less fuel in the tank than everybody else. BR4 has gone on to the soft tyres and put a fair amount of fuel left into the tank. Joe yet to pit, Sick Boy yet to pit, and battle continuing. Moosh gets by Iggy around the outside. That was a top speed influence pass as they try to break deep into turn 1. Moosh didn't look like he was going to make the corner, but he did in the end. How far away from these guys is BR4? Some 12 seconds off the back of his championship rival Iggy. Iggy needs to make a pretty incredible mistake. BR4 has to score 15 points to Iggy's, 15 points to the profit of Iggy to even be within a shout of winning this championship. I don't think there's many races where he's achieved that so far this season. So 16 laps in, 28.5 minutes gone. It's about 11.5 to go. Minutes, not laps. Joe and Sick Boy running the hard tyres long into the race and far ahead of this group at the moment. But the later they stop, the shorter their pit stop and the less fuel they will need to run to the end. So there is an advantage to running deeper. Yes, they don't get to use their soft tyres for as long, but they do get to use them without the concern. There goes Joe into the pits with 1% fuel remaining. Joe in the pits. Sick Boy still out there, down into the 5% or thereabouts. Mackie's will almost certainly get Joe in the pits, as will Moosh and Iggy. Olive 2. We'll see where BR4 comes. Where is Joe relative to BR4? BR4 coming round the start-finish line now. Joe on his way out, on their way out of the pits. Has Joe stayed ahead of BR4? Yeah, no indeed. Yes, in fact, Joe got out in front of Olive. So, wow, that was a big difference there. Joe on the pit stop, shorter pit stop, managed to get ahead of Olive. Both of them, I think, now on the soft tyre to the end of the race. And now Joe has got better tyres than everybody else. And similar, should have similar fuel at least to Olive, gone for a similar amount of fuel. Iggy can run richer than Joe can, and Sick Boy yet to pit still. His gap 15.7 seconds, but with a 30+ second penalty for pitting, he should be well behind this group. So Mackie's has Moosh right behind him. This is the battle for the effective lead of the race. Wouldn't be Mackie's first win. Pretty sure it would be Moosh's first win this season, unless he won in the first week when I wasn't part of the championship. So Moosh using the top speed. Mackie's unwilling to give him the inside. Moosh goes high and takes the place conveniently and decisively. Decides to break to the inside, discourage the move. Another good overtake then from Moosh once again. This time for the real lead of the race, as Sick Boy has finally pitted. Sick Boy down into 7th place. Got a battle brewing between Olive and Joe for 4th place. This is your podium. Currently Moosh, Mackie's and Iggy, as it has been for much of the race. These three locked in battle. What a different story it would have been had BR4 been part of it all. Moosh is doing the job for his teammate, for himself as well. Best thing they can do for the Mustang, for the Ford team, is of course win the race and get 2 points finishes on the board. I don't think their rivals are going to do that. Only got one car in the field for the Mercedes and the Dodge team today. Moosh has got a ½ a second lead, but the slipstream not as powerful for the Z4, thanks to the extra top speed on board the Mustang. I think that next season there will be a little bit of balancing going on. Some cars being selected for their equal power distribution, rather than it being quite so clear cut as it has been for the majority of this season. That was Moosh with a penalty. Massive top speed reduction, clumsy from Moosh on track limits, and both the win rivals get ahead of him as they close in the braking zone. Iggy and Mackie's ahead now of Moosh once again. That's lap 19. Oh, some action going on between Olive and Joe. Joe around the outside, Olive stuck on the inside. Joe will get the inside on the dog leg to the left coming up before the next horseshoe, and some good traction with those younger soft tyres as well. Trying to hold the inside line. There's a little touch of bumpers or fenders if we're in Daytona, I suppose, as Joe around the outside again will get the inside line going to the in and out turn 6 and stays ahead at this point. No major weaknesses on the Lexus. It is a very strong car to run. Top 3 though, continuing. A second separating all 3 of them, less than a second. Here comes Moosh then, looking for that slipstream and that exit out of turn 10 where he's been strong all night long. Didn't quite have it there relative to the Viper in front of him, but the Z4 was perhaps the slowest out of the chicane. Here we go, tucked up underneath. Forced to the outside. This could be Moosh's opportunity. Car's running offline, defending. Moosh to the outside then as well. That means that Mackie is stuck on the inside. They rub wheels once again, and once again it was almost ended in tears. Iggy gets on top again though. Moosh goes for the inside into the horseshoe, brakes super late. Will he touch Iggy? He does touch Iggy back onto the marbles. Moosh ducks out of the throttle. That lets Mackie's through. Very sporting of Moosh. It wasn't intentional, clearly. But unfortunately for Iggy, Moosh can't give him the lead. He can only give him up the place that he just took from him. So Iggy stuck in 2nd place now. and starting to wiggle around on the soft tyres. Mackie's likewise. Everybody on softs at the end of this race. It's lap 20. We've got 4.5 minutes to go. Fastest lap lying with Moosh at the moment. You would have thought that the fastest laps will start to be contested at this point as the cars get light. Moosh has got way too much fuel on the board, I think. Perhaps just trying to play it safe, or he'll be able to turn the wick right up for the end of this race, which his rivals won't care for. A Mustang running rich is not what they want to be seeing. 0.4 of a second, down to 0.3 of a second as they go across the start-finish line to end lap 20. Iggy to the outside. Mackie's defending once again. Beautiful race-long battle between these three drivers. Mackie's taking the classic line through the corner. Just hanging on once again. Iggy goes for it and really had to stamp on the brakes into the first horseshoe. Through the dogleg once again. I think Mackie's is going to have to close the door on the inside, not leave the gap. He doesn't leave the gap. That does leave him a little bit vulnerable. Iggy trying to go the whole long way round the outside on the marbles. Brave stuff, but doesn't quite do it, as Mackie's once again takes the tighter inside line, which gives him the first place to the apex and to the exit. Moosh now has a good run coming out of turn 6. Once again, this should be a good bit of top speed for the Mustang. Gets tucked up underneath. We have 2.5 minutes to go in this race. Still anyone's in the top 3. Moosh just needs to rein it in a little bit. He's been a little bit wild on track limits as Mackie's. It's now under 1/10 of a second as Iggy gives up the attempt there to take the place. Looking for a good exit. Neither of them got a good exit though out of turn 10. It was all about Moosh getting in each other's way for the top 2. Moosh has got no slipstream, hanging out on the outside. He's blocked the move from Iggy as they go towards the start-finish line once again. Moosh will not let Iggy come out of the slipstream, hanging around on his blind side, offside rear wing. Moosh will take his pick his line here. He'll expect them both to run wide, run each other out to the outside of the circuit. Will Moosh be able to tuck back through? Not quite. Iggy will try to run around the outside, but doesn't quite get there once again. And it is they are playing chess with their positioning on the circuit. I thought Moosh might go brake early and try and get the better drive through the center of the corner, but it didn't quite work out. Iggy hot on the heels. He would love to win this title with a win on the track as well, but don't get too greedy. Be pretty catastrophic, something to happen to Iggy now. Only a technical disconnection would perhaps lose him this title. Hard to see with the gap he's got to BR4 what could befall Iggy. Shy of running out of fuel, which I don't think is going to happen either. Locked in battle once again, the top 3. Going to finish this race out very shortly. We've got about 40 seconds before the time runs out. Iggy to the outside as they head towards the chicane. Mackie's got the inside line here. It becomes the outside for the next corner as Moosh tries to get the run. This could gift it to Iggy as they both make contact, fighting too hard. There's still going to be another lap, I think, before the end of this race. We've got about 15 seconds before they cross the line. I don't know whether Iggy will duck out and make this a checkered flag very quickly. I don't think he can afford to. What have we got? 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the final lap. We are going to see the final lap. In fact, Moosh finishes ahead of Mackie's there. It looks like BR4 will beat out Joe at the end for 4th place. Sick Boy in 6th place does his lawn mowing impression. Olive is slowing with no fuel in the car. Underfueled it, unfortunately. He did low fuel that car, but it was too little to see him through. I think Raging Mage is going to cross the line in front. It's the quirk of Gran Turismo race timing that nobody runs for more than 40 minutes, even if you're still on the lead lap. Here comes Raging Mage to take 7th place. Olive trying to hang on here to his 8th place, coming into the pits, in fact. I don't know if that will mean down at pit lane speed limit he'll be stuck. Will Simon get him at the line rather than... no, Olive has picked up 8th place, Simon in 9th. RDO coming across the line to take 10th behind his teammate, and I think that might be where he finishes the championship, behind his teammate. But it'll be about a victory lap for Iggy. He couldn't afford to brake for the line. We were right on the cusp of it only being a 23-lap race. PJ says, what a season. Miata Waifu says, watching Iggy's point of view. PJ says, we'll be seeing me next season. Still to be confirmed, unfortunately, PJ. Thank you, appreciate that. I would love to be part of the next seasons of ALR. We shall see what we shall see. The checkered flag falls for our champion. He's going to try and do this in style, I think. Is he going to try and... yeah, he's going to try and donut it to the line. It's difficult to do donuts on the bank section of the circuit. He knows we're all watching. He's running it round and round. He's just going to showboat this one to the line. He's looking for the best possible finish that he can make, and he technically now finally wins the race and wins the title. He is the Season 5 champion of Monday Tier 1. He is the top dog of Aero League Racing's GT division in the Group 3 car, I believe. I don't know for sure, but I think the type of car will be changing. Congratulations to Iggy for a fabulous win. And for a very good season overall. Thanks to everybody involved. It's been a very, very good one. Very special to enjoy the game. Technical difficulties notwithstanding, still been a really good one. I'll give you the highlights from the driver room if I can. Let's see. Anybody saying anything? BR4's congratulated congratulated Iggy for a good drive. Joe is celebrating P4 in the standings. Simon saying that was awful. I've got some updated standings for you as well to tell you about. Mackie said cost himself the win, put in 3 laps too much fuel. Sick Boy happy with P3 and happy to be getting rid of the AMG Mercedes. I think it's been a fairly good car for you this year, Sick Boy. Sick Boy says I think everybody's fed up with their cars. And Moosh very happy with the battle overall. And Mackie's saying shame we couldn't get one more lap. Iggy with his thanks coming out as well. And then just to give you the official line from the season from RDO, the fastest standings provider I've ever worked with. He tells me that Iggy wins the championship by 22 points, just about where he started tonight's race. I think he was 23 in front at the start of tonight's coverage. 22 points, 277 for Iggy, 255 for BR4. Sick Boy, comfortable third place, 230 points, 191 for Joe, 187 for Mackie's. Then comes Simon in 6th place, did beat his teammate RDO into 7th, but the Aston Martin drivers to finish 6th and 7th did have a good old run at it, didn't they? Moosh in 8th, Nobbles in 9th, Mr. Berserk in 10th, beating out David Sabero in the end. Then in the team standing, Ford won the title on 333 from Mercedes on 295, and Dodge, which was pretty much Iggy only. I think only 2 points finishes from any teammate. Alex Talent. So Iggy earning virtually every point to take 288 for Dodge in 3rd place in the title. Well, thanks to everybody from me, Webbo. Remember, you can find me on Twitter at WebboRed5, at ALR as well. don't forget, and from everybody involved, thanks very much, and we will catch you on the next race day.